Captain Kang Minho stared at the massive ship floating in the darkness of space. It was unlike anything he had ever seen in his 20 years of service. The vessel looked more like a giant living creature than a machine. Its surface curved and twisted like the shell of some enormous sea creature. Strange patterns of light moved slowly across its hull, pulsing like a heartbeat that was growing weaker with each beat. "Sir, the scanner readings are off the charts," said Park Ji-won from her station. The young engineer's voice carried a mix of excitement and worry. "This thing is huge, at least 50 kilometers long and 20 kilometers wide. But the strange part is, it seems to be made of organic material." Minho nodded slowly. 3 days ago, this mysterious ship had appeared in human space without warning. No one knew where it came from or what it wanted. The Earth Defense Fleet had sent his ship, the Harmony, to investigate. It was supposed to be a simple scouting mission, but nothing about this felt simple. "Any signs of weapons?" Minho asked. "None, that I can detect," replied Choi Dae-ho, the ship's technology specialist. His fingers moved quickly over his control panel. "Actually, sir, most of the ship's systems appear to be shutting down. Whatever this thing is, it's dying." Lee Soman, the ship's medical officer, looked up from her readings. "Captain, I'm detecting life signs from inside the vessel. Something big is alive in there, but the readings suggest it's in distress." Minho felt a chill run down his spine. In all his years exploring space, he had never encountered anything like this. The ship looked ancient, older than human civilization itself. Yet it had appeared in their space as if it had been traveling for a very long time. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," announced Han Yuna from the communications station. The young woman's fingers moved over her controls with practiced ease, despite the dark glasses that covered her eyes. Yuna had been blind since childhood, but her hearing was better than anyone else on the ship. "Put it through," Minho ordered. A voice filled the bridge. It was unlike any sound they had ever heard. Deep and musical, it seemed to come from everywhere at once. When the universal translator processed it, the words were clear but filled with an overwhelming sadness. "Please," the voice said. "Please, help me die." The bridge fell silent. Minho felt his heart skip a beat. Whatever was speaking to them sounded ancient and tired, as if it had been carrying a terrible burden for far too long. "I am the last," the voice continued. "The last of my people. I have traveled through the darkness for so long, searching for someone who might grant me peace. Please, strangers, I beg you to end my suffering." Minho looked at his crew. Each face showed the same mixture of shock and concern. This was not what they had expected to find. "This is Captain Kang Minho of the Earthship Harmony," he said into the communication system. "Who are you? What happened to your people?" "I am what you might call a queen," the voice replied, "though that word does not truly capture what I am. My people called themselves the Singers. We lived among the stars for millions of years, bringing harmony to dead worlds and empty space. But now we are gone. All gone except for me." The sadness in the voice was so deep that Soman wiped tears from her eyes. Even the normally calm Dae-ho looked disturbed by what they were hearing. "What happened to them?" Yuna asked softly. "A plague," the queen answered. "Not a disease of the body, but something worse. It attacked our ability to sing, to create harmony. Without our songs, we began to fade away. One by one, my people lost their voices and died. I am the last, and I carry within me the memories and voices of billions of my kind." Minho tried to imagine what that must be like, to be the sole survivor of an entire species. The weight of such loneliness seemed impossible to bear. "I have kept myself alive for countless years," the queen continued, "hoping to find someone who could help me preserve the memory of my people. But I have failed. I am too tired to continue, and my ship is dying with me. Please, I ask only for a quick death so that I may finally rest." "We need to see you first," Minho said carefully. "May we come aboard your ship?" "Yes," the queen replied. "Come to my chamber at the heart of the ship. But please do not delay. Every moment I continue to exist is agony." Minho turned to his crew. "Ji-won, Somin, Dae-ho, you're with me. Yuna, Stay here and monitor communications. Sir, I'd like to come, too, Yuna said. Something about her voice, it's not just sadness. There are layers to it. Frequencies I can hear that the translator might be missing. Minho considered this. Yuna's enhanced hearing had saved them more than once. All right, but stay close to the group. The team prepared their equipment and took a shuttle to the alien ship. As they approached, Minho could see that the vessel's surface was covered in what looked like writing, but the symbols seemed to shift and change as he watched them. They found an opening that seemed to appear just for them, its edges glowing with soft light. Inside, the corridors were vast and curved, lit by the same pulsing glow they had seen on the ship's exterior. The walls felt warm to the touch and seemed to pulse with life. It's like we're inside a living creature, Ji-Wan whispered. They followed, the glowing path deeper into the ship. The corridors grew larger as they went until finally they emerged into a chamber so vast that their lights could not reach the far walls. At the center of the chamber stood the Queen. She was magnificent and terrible at the same time. Her body was made of what looked like living crystal, transparent and beautiful, but shot through with veins of light that flickered weakly. She was enormous, at least 30 meters tall, with a form that seemed to shift between different shapes as they watched. But it was clear that she was dying. The light within her crystal body was dim and unsteady. Cracks had appeared in her surface, and a strange mist seemed to drift away from her like escaping life force. You have come, she said, and her voice filled the vast chamber. Thank you. I have waited so long for this moment. Minho stepped forward, feeling small and insignificant before this ancient being. Your Majesty, we've come to listen to your story. But are you certain that death is what you truly want? The Queen's form pulsed with a brighter light for a moment. I have lived for millions of your years, little one. I have seen stars born and die. I have watched civilizations rise and fall. But most painful of all, I have watched my own people fade away until only I remain. Yes, I am certain. I am ready for the peace of non-existence. Somin stepped forward, her medical training overriding her fear. Is there nothing we can do to help you heal? My kind do not heal as yours do, the Queen replied. We sustained ourselves, through harmony, through the songs we sang together. Alone, I am like a single note trying to be a symphony. I can exist, but I cannot truly live. As the Queen spoke, Yuna tilted her head, listening intently to something the others could not hear. Her face showed deep concentration, as if she was trying to solve a difficult puzzle. Your Majesty, Minho said, if we were to help you as you ask, how would we do it? My life force is contained within this crystal form, the Queen explained. A precise energy discharge to my core would end my existence instantly and painlessly. Your ship's weapons could accomplish this easily. Minho felt sick at the thought. It felt like murder, even if the Queen was asking for it. He looked at his team and saw the same reluctance in their faces. We need time to consider this, he said finally. Time is something I have little of left, the Queen replied. But I will wait a little longer if you promise to return with your answer soon. As they prepared to leave, Yuna stepped closer to the Queen. Your voice, she said. When you speak, I hear something beautiful underneath the sadness. Something that sounds like music. The Queen's light pulsed with what might have been surprise. You hear the song fragments, child. Most beings cannot perceive them at all. Yes, we singers spoke in harmony even in normal conversation. It is the echo of what my people once were. Yuna nodded thoughtfully but said nothing more. As they made their way back to their shuttle, Minho wondered what his young communications officer was thinking. Her ability to hear things others missed had often led to unexpected discoveries. Back on the Harmony, the crew gathered to discuss what they had learned. The weight of the Queen's request hung over them all like a dark cloud. She's been alone for so long, Somin said quietly. I can't imagine that kind of loneliness. But can we really kill her even if she's asking for it? Ji-Wan asked. Minho had no easy answer. They had come to investigate a mysterious ship and instead found themselves faced with an impossible decision. How do you grant mercy to the last member of an ancient species? And what right did they have to make such a choice? As the crew debated, Yuna sat quietly at her station, listening to the recorded transmissions from the Queen over and over again. Something in that ancient voice called to her, something that spoke of possibilities none of them had yet considered. For 3 days, Captain Minho and his crew struggled with the Queen's request. The ancient being waited patiently in her dying ship, while the humans debated what to do. Each conversation ended the same way, with no clear answer and heavy hearts. Minho sat in his captain's chair, staring at the reports on his screen. The Queen's bioship was failing faster now. Her energy readings dropped each hour, and some sections of the massive vessel had already gone dark. Time was running out. "Sir," Jiwan said from her engineering station, "I've been studying the Queen's ship design. It's incredible. The whole vessel is like one giant living organism. The walls, the power systems, even the air recycling, everything is biological. I've never seen technology like this. But it's all connected to her life force," Deho added. "When she dies, the ship dies with her. All that knowledge and technology will be lost forever." Salman looked up from her medical readings. "Her vital signs are getting weaker. I don't think she can hold on much longer, even if we wanted her to." Minho nodded grimly. They had tried to contact Earth Command for guidance, but the decision was ultimately his to make. The Queen had made her wishes clear, and they seemed to be her final wishes. "Prepare the targeting systems," Minho said finally. "We'll honor her request." "Wait," said a quiet voice from the communication station. Everyone turned to look at Yuna. The young woman had been unusually quiet for the past 3 days, spending most of her time listening to recordings of the Queen's voice through her specialized audio equipment. "Yuna, what is it?" Minho asked. Yuna removed her headphones and turned toward the captain. Her dark glasses reflected the bridge lights as she spoke. "I need to talk to her again. There's something I want to ask her." "The Queen has made her decision," Minho said gently. "She's been very clear about what she wants." "I know," Yuna replied, "but I want to ask her something different. Something no one has asked her yet." Minho studied his communications officer. Yuna had joined his crew 2 years ago, fresh from the academy. Many captains might have hesitated to take on a blind officer, but Yuna's hearing abilities were remarkable. She could detect things in audio transmissions that others missed completely. Her insights had saved them more than once. "What do you want to ask her?" Minho said. "I want to ask her to sing," Yuna said simply. The bridge fell silent. Jiwan looked confused. "Sing? But she's dying. She wants us to help her die peacefully." "That's just it," Yuna said, her voice growing more excited. "I've been listening to her voice for 3 days. When she speaks, there are harmonics underneath her words, complex musical patterns that the universal translator doesn't pick up. She's not just talking to us. Part of her is still singing, even now." Deho frowned. "But she said her people sang together. She's alone now. How can she sing properly without others?" "Maybe she can't sing the way her people used to," Yuna said. "But she can still sing. And I think she wants to, deep down. Every time she speaks, I hear music trying to break free." Soman shook her head. "Yuna, I understand what you're thinking, but we can't force her to perform for us when she's in pain." "I'm not talking about forcing her," Yuna said firmly. "I'm talking about giving her a choice she might not have considered. Everyone who has spoken to her has focused on her pain, her loneliness, her desire to die. But what if there's another option? What if she could share her people's music before she goes?" Minho considered this. It was true that they had all approached the Queen's situation from the perspective of ending her suffering. No one had asked about preserving her culture or sharing her people's art. "All right," Minho said. "We'll go back to the ship. But Yuna, if she says no, we don't push. Understood?" "Understood, sir." The team prepared to return to the Queen's ship. As they flew through space in their shuttle, Minho noticed that the alien vessel looked even dimmer than before. Whole sections that had been glowing weakly were now completely dark. Inside the bioship, the corridors felt colder. The warm pulse of life that had filled the walls was growing weaker. They made their way to the Queen's chamber, their footsteps echoing in the vast empty spaces. The Queen was still there, but she looked worse than before. The crystal of her body had more cracks, and the light within her had faded to barely a flicker. When she spoke, her voice was noticeably weaker. "You have returned," she said. "Have you decided to grant my request?" "Your Majesty," Minho said, "we're prepared to help you as you asked, but first one of my crew has a different request." The Queen's form shifted slightly, focusing on the humans. "Speak." Yuna stepped forward, her hands clasped nervously in front of her. "Your Majesty, before you leave this existence, would you sing for us? Not to create or change anything, just to share the music of your people?" The Queen was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, there was surprise in her voice. "You ask me to sing?" "Child, the songs of my people were not mere entertainment. We sang to shape reality, to bring life to dead worlds, to heal the sick and guide the lost. Our songs required many voices working together in perfect harmony." "I know," Yuna said. "You told us that your people sang together. But every person has songs they can sing alone too. Simple songs, personal songs. The kind you might sing when you're by yourself and no one else can hear." The Queen's light pulsed brighter for a moment. "You want me to sing a simple song?" "I want you to sing any song," Yuna said. "I've been listening to your voice and I can hear music in it. Beautiful music that wants to come out. Your people are gone, but their music doesn't have to die with you. Not all of it." "But I am alone," the Queen said, and her voice carried centuries of sadness. "A single voice cannot create the harmony that made our songs powerful. What you ask for would be like trying to hear a symphony performed by one instrument." "Sometimes one instrument is enough," Yuna said softly. "Sometimes a simple melody can be more beautiful than the most complex symphony. My people have always known this. We sing alone in the shower, we hum while we work, we whistle when we're happy. Music doesn't always need to be powerful to be meaningful." The Queen considered this. "Your species sings without purpose? Without trying to accomplish anything?" "We sing because it makes us feel better," Yuna explained. "We sing to remember people we love, to express feelings we can't put into words, to connect with something bigger than ourselves. Sometimes the most important songs are the ones that don't try to change anything except how we feel inside." "Had not considered this," the Queen admitted. "My people sang to achieve great works, but you suggest singing simply to sing?" "Yes," Yuna said. "Will you try it? Will you sing one song not to change anything, but just to honor the memory of your people?" The Queen was silent for several minutes. The humans waited patiently, not wanting to pressure her. Finally she spoke. "There was a song we sang to our young," she said slowly. "A simple melody to help them sleep and feel safe. It required no great power, no complex harmony, just one voice singing gently." "That sounds perfect," Yuna said, her face lighting up with hope. "But I have not sung it in so long," the Queen said. "Not since the last of our children died. I do not know if I remember it correctly." "It doesn't have to be perfect," Yuna assured her. "Songs are about feeling, not perfection." The Queen seemed to consider this idea. Around them, the chamber grew very quiet, as if the dying ship itself was listening. "Very well," the Queen said at last. "I will try to sing our lullaby. But do not expect greatness from a voice that has been silent for so long." Yuna smiled and nodded. "Thank you, Your Majesty. We're honored that you're willing to share this with us." The Queen's crystal form began to glow slightly brighter. She drew what might have been a deep breath, though her kind did not breathe as humans did. Then, slowly and carefully, she began to sing. The sound that emerged was unlike anything the humans had ever heard. It was not quite music as they understood it, but it was not mere noise either. The Queen's voice rose and fell in patterns that seemed to resonate through the crystal chamber, through the ship's walls, through the very air around them. Even though it was just a simple lullaby, the song carried with it the weight of an entire civilization. It spoke of love and protection, of safety and peace, of watching over the innocent while they slept. The melody was alien but somehow familiar, touching something deep in the human heart that recognized the universal love between parent and child. As she sang, something remarkable happened. The Queen's failing light began to stabilize. Her voice grew stronger, more confident. The cracks in her crystal form seemed to slow their spreading. And most surprising of all, Una began to hum along, her human voice finding harmonies within the alien melody. The Queen stopped singing abruptly, her voice cutting off in surprise. "How did you do that?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. "How did you find harmony in my song?" Una looked as surprised as the Queen sounded. "I don't know. I just listened, and the harmony was there. My voice seemed to know where it needed to go." The Queen stared at the blind human girl with something that might have been amazement. "In all my people's long history, no other species has ever been able to harmonize with our songs. Most cannot even hear all the frequencies we use, yet you found the complementary tones instinctively. Maybe our species aren't so different when it comes to music," Una suggested. For the first time since they had met her, the Queen sounded something other than sad or tired. She sounded curious. "Sing with me again," she said. "I want to understand how this is possible." And so they sang together, the ancient alien queen and the young blind human, their voices creating something neither could achieve alone. The Queen and Una sang together for nearly an hour. Each time they began a new verse of the ancient lullaby, their voices found each other more easily. The Queen's crystal form grew brighter with each passing minute, and even the dying ship around them seemed to respond to their music. Captain Minho watched in amazement as the chamber's walls began to pulse with renewed life. The dim lights that had been failing for days now glowed with steady warmth. Juan checked her scanner and gasped at the readings. "Captain," she whispered, trying not to interrupt the singers, "the ship's power levels are rising. Systems that were completely dead are coming back online." Deho nodded, his eyes wide with wonder. "The bioship is healing itself, but how is that possible?" Salmon monitored the Queen's vital signs through her medical scanner. "Her life force is stabilizing too. The critical decline has stopped completely." When the song finally ended, the Queen stood in silence for a long moment. Her crystal body now glowed with a light that was still weak but no longer fading. The cracks in her surface had stopped spreading, and some of the smaller ones seemed to be sealing themselves. "I do not understand what has happened," the Queen said slowly. "For the first time in centuries, I do not feel the constant pull toward darkness. The song, it has given me something I thought was lost forever." "What's that?" Una asked gently. "Hope," the Queen replied. "When I sang alone, it was like trying to hold back the ocean with my bare hands. But when your voice joined mine, even though you are not one of my people, I felt the harmony that has been missing from my existence." Minho stepped forward carefully. "Your Majesty, does this change your decision about wanting to die?" The Queen considered this question for a long time. Around them, the chamber continued to brighten as the ship's systems recovered from their long decline. "I am not certain," the Queen said finally. "For so long, death seemed like the only escape from my loneliness. But this human child has shown me something I did not think possible. Perhaps there are other options I have not considered." Una smiled, though tears ran down her cheeks. "Would you teach us more songs? Not the powerful ones that shaped worlds, just the simple ones like the lullaby?" "There are many such songs," the Queen said thoughtfully. "Songs of celebration, songs of remembrance, songs we sang while we worked or while we traveled between the stars. I had thought them too simple to matter, but now I see they carry their own importance." "Every song matters," Una said. "In my culture, we believe that music is one of the things that makes life worth living. Even the simplest melody can touch someone's heart and change their day." The Queen's light pulsed with what might have been curiosity. "Your people value music for its own sake, not for what it can accomplish?" "Both," Ji-won said, speaking up for the first time since they had arrived. We use music to celebrate victories and mourn losses. We sing to make work easier and to remember important events. But we also just sing because it feels good. This is very different from my people's way, the Queen said. We sang to achieve great purposes, to terraform planets, to communicate across vast distances, to heal the sick and injured. Our songs were tools of creation and healing. Those sound like beautiful purposes, Soman said. But maybe the simple songs are just as important. They help us connect with each other and remember what we care about. The Queen was quiet for several minutes, processing this new way of thinking about music. Finally, she spoke again. There is a song my people sang when we first discovered a new star system, she said. A song of wonder and greeting. It was not meant to change anything, only to express our joy at finding something new and beautiful. Could you teach it to us? Yuna asked eagerly. I will try, the Queen said. But you must understand, this song is more complex than the lullaby. It has multiple parts that were meant to be sung by different voices. We'll do our best to learn, Minho said. He looked at his crew, seeing excitement and curiosity on their faces. Actually, let me contact the ship. There are others who might want to hear this. Within an hour, the Queen's chamber was filled with humans. Word had spread quickly through the harmony about the alien queen who had begun to sing instead of asking for death. Engineers, scientists, medical staff, and even maintenance workers had asked permission to come and listen. The Queen seemed overwhelmed by the attention at first. So many of you, she said. I have been alone for so long that I had forgotten what it was like to have an audience. We're honored to be here, Your Majesty, said Chief Engineer Park Sun-ho, a veteran officer who had served on deep space missions for over 30 years. In all my years exploring the galaxy, I've dreamed of meeting another intelligent species. To have the chance to learn your music is beyond anything I could have imagined. The Queen began to teach them the greeting song. It was indeed more complex than the lullaby, with flowing melodies that seemed to dance around each other like streams of water coming together to form a river. The humans struggled at first, their voices not quite matching the alien harmonies. But Yuna helped them, her exceptional hearing allowing her to guide others to the right notes. Listen for the spaces between the main melody, she told them. That's where your voice needs to go. Slowly, more humans began to find their place in the song. It was not the perfect harmony that the Queen's people would have created, but it was something new and beautiful in its own way. Human voices, with all their individual differences and imperfections, wove together with the Queen's crystal tones to create something neither species could have made alone. As they sang, the Queen's ship continued to heal. Dead sections came back to life, their bioluminescent walls glowing with renewed energy. The air grew warmer and fresher as the ship's organic systems repaired themselves. It's like the ship is remembering how to live, Ji-won said during a break, between songs. Perhaps it is, the Queen replied. My ship and I are connected. When I began to lose hope, it began to die with me. But now, with your voices joining mine, I feel more alive than I have in centuries. Dr. Kim Minji, the ship's xenobiologist, had been taking notes throughout the session. Your Majesty, could you tell us more about how your people's songs worked? We're trying to understand the connection between music and the biological systems of your ship. Our songs operated on many levels, the Queen explained. The sounds you can hear were only part of it. We also sang with frequencies that affected matter at the molecular level, patterns that could encourage growth or healing or change. But those deeper songs required perfect harmony among many voices. And the simple songs like the ones you're teaching us, Minji asked? They work on a different level, the Queen said. They touch the spirit, the consciousness, the will to live. When I sang alone, I could not reach those deeper parts of myself. But when your voices join mine, even imperfectly, they remind me of what it means to be part of something larger than myself. Yuna nodded thoughtfully. Music connects us. When we sing together, we become more than just individuals. We become a community. Yes, the Queen said, her voice filled with growing wonder. That is exactly what I have been missing. Community, connection, the knowledge that I am not alone in the universe. As the day continued, More crew members from other ships in the human fleet asked permission to come and learn the Queen's songs. Captain Minho found himself coordinating visits from dozens of vessels, each bringing people who wanted to experience this historic first contact through music. The Queen seemed to grow stronger with each new voice that joined their impromptu choir. Her crystal form blazed with light that had not been seen in her ship for centuries. The bio-vessel itself began to show signs of true regeneration, with new growth appearing in sections that had been barren for ages. "I have made a decision," the Queen announced as the day's singing session came to an end. "I no longer wish to die. This day has shown me that there are possibilities I had not considered. Perhaps my people's songs do not have to end with me." The humans cheered, their voices echoing through the crystal chamber. Yuna wiped tears from her eyes, smiling broadly. "Does this mean you'll stay with us?" she asked. "Will you continue to teach us your people's music?" "If you will have me," the Queen said. "I am old and tired, and I know nothing of your ways. But today you have given me the greatest gift imaginable. You have given me a reason to continue existing." Minho stepped forward. "Your Majesty, on behalf of the human fleet, I formally invite you to join us. Your knowledge and your music would be welcome among our people." "And perhaps," the Queen said, her voice carrying a note of excitement that had been absent before, "we might create new songs together, songs that combine the best of both our people's traditions." As the humans prepared to return to their ships, the Queen began to sing again. This time it was not a song from her people's past, but something new, a melody that seemed to incorporate elements of human music she had heard throughout the day, woven together with her own alien harmonies. Yuna stayed behind to listen, her head tilted in concentration. "It's beautiful," she said when the Queen finished. "It sounds like hope." "That is exactly what it is," the Queen replied. "A song of hope for the future we might build together." Looking around at her chamber, now blazing with renewed life, the Queen realized that her long journey through the dark. 3 weeks had passed since the Queen decided to live instead of die. News of the singing alien had spread throughout the human fleet like wildfire. Ships from across the sector requested permission to visit and learn about the remarkable discovery. Kirim, Queen's bioship had transformed dramatically. What was once a dying vessel drifting through space had become a thriving habitat filled with gardens and living chambers. The walls pulsed with healthy light, and new sections grew daily as the ship healed itself through the power of renewed hope. Captain Minho stood in what the Queen now called the music chamber, watching the most unusual choir practice in human history. Over 50 people from different ships had gathered to learn the ancient songs of the singers. They came from all walks of life and every department imaginable. At the center of the group sat Yuna, now recognized as the primary teacher and translator between human and singer musical traditions. Her blindness, once seen as a limitation, had become her greatest strength in understanding the complex frequencies of the Queen's songs. "Remember," Yuna called out to the assembled singers, "don't try to match the Queen's voice exactly. Find the harmony that feels right for your voice." The Queen's people sang in perfect unity, but we humans bring something different. We bring variety and individual expression. Kim Hajin, a massive maintenance worker from the cargo ship Sunrise, raised his hand. His deep bass voice had proven surprisingly well suited to the Queen's lower harmonies. "Yuna, I'm still having trouble with the bridge song. The melody keeps shifting in ways my voice can't follow." "That's normal, Hajin," Yuna replied patiently. "The Queen's songs were designed for voices that could change pitch in ways human voices cannot. But we've learned to adapt. Instead of following every shift, hold the foundational notes and let others fill in the moving parts." Shin Nayeon, AA, botanist from the research vessel Discovery, nodded in agreement. Her clear soprano voice had become essential for the higher frequencies. "I found that if I focus on the emotional content of the song, rather than trying to hit every note perfectly, my voice naturally finds the right place." The Queen watched these lessons with fascination. Her crystal form now blazed with steady light, and new patterns of color had begun to appear in her structure. She had explained that these colors represented different emotions and thoughts, a visual language her people had used alongside their songs. "Your species continues to amaze me," the queen said during a break in the practice. "My people spent millennia perfecting our harmonies, but you achieved something equally beautiful through improvisation and individual expression." Bai Gunwu, a former music teacher who now worked as a communications officer, looked up from his notes. "Your Majesty, could you tell us more about how your people learned to sing? Did you have schools or formal training?" "We did not learn as you do," the queen replied. "We were born knowing the basic songs, the way you are born knowing how to breathe. More complex songs required practice and cooperation, but the fundamental ability was part of our nature. That makes what we're doing even more remarkable," said Ryu Jina, a pilot whose rhythmic sense had proven invaluable in keeping the human choir synchronized. "We're learning an entirely alien form of music without any natural ability for it." Dr. Kim Minji had been documenting the choir's progress with scientific precision. Her research showed that the human singers were not just learning melodies but actually developing new neural pathways to process the queen's complex harmonies. "The brain scans are fascinating," Minji explained to the group. "Regular practice with the queen's songs is enhancing your auditory processing in ways we've never seen before. Some of you are beginning to hear frequencies that normal human ears cannot detect." This was particularly true for Yuna, whose enhanced hearing had grown even more acute through her work with the queen. She could now perceive layers of meaning in the alien songs that even the queen found surprising. "There are songs within songs," Yuna explained to the newest members of the choir. "When the queen sings about starlight, I can hear echoes of a dozen other songs about light and hope and distant worlds. It's like each song contains the memory of all the songs that came before it." The queen confirmed this observation. "You understand correctly, young one. Our songs were connected across time and space. When we sang the Starlight Song on a distant world, we were also singing with every member of our species who had ever sung it before." This revelation had profound implications for the human choir. If they could truly learn to sing the queen's songs, they would be connecting not just with her, but with the entire history of the singer species. As weeks turned into months, the human choir grew in size and skill. They learned songs of celebration for successful voyages, songs of mourning for lost friends, work songs that made difficult tasks easier, and complex ceremonial pieces that told the history of the singer civilization. But perhaps most importantly, they began creating new songs that blended human and singer traditions. These hybrid compositions were unlike anything either species had produced alone. The first successful fusion song was created almost by accident. During a practice session, Ha-jin began humming a traditional Korean work song while waiting for the queen to begin a singer harmony exercise. Yuna heard the connection between the human melody and the alien harmony patterns and began weaving them together. Within minutes, the entire choir was participating in something unprecedented, a song that told the story of both species working together to explore the stars. The queen's voice provided the cosmic scope and ancient wisdom, while the human voices added warmth, determination, and hope for the future. "This is what my people lost," the queen said when the song ended. "We became so focused on perfection that we forgot how to grow and change. Your music shows me that harmony does not require sameness." The success of the fusion songs attracted attention from the highest levels of human government and military command. Admiral Park Youngja, commander of the entire exploration fleet, came personally to witness what was happening aboard the Queen's ship. "This is unprecedented," the admiral said after attending a full choir performance. "We've made first contact with an alien species, and instead of negotiations or trade agreements, we're creating art together." "Music transcends language and culture, Admiral," Yuna explained. "When we sing with the Queen, we understand each other in ways that words alone could never achieve." The Admiral was particularly impressed by the healing effect the music was having on the Queen's ship. Sections that had been dead for centuries were now flourishing with new growth. The bioship had become a garden in space, filled with plants and ecosystems that the Queen's people had cultivated on hundreds of different worlds. "Could this healing effect work on other things?" the Admiral asked. "Damaged ships, poisoned planets, injured people. "We are still learning," the Queen replied. "The healing comes not from the songs themselves, but from the hope and cooperation they represent. When beings work together in harmony, they can accomplish things that neither could achieve alone." To test this theory, the choir was invited to visit the mining colony on Kepler Station, which had been struggling with environmental damage from decades of heavy industry. The colonists had managed to extract valuable minerals, but their world was dying from pollution and ecological collapse. When the Queen's bioship arrived at Kepler Station, accompanied by the human fleet, the colonists were amazed by the vibrant ecosystem visible through the ship's transparent sections. Here was proof that technology and nature could coexist in harmony. The choir performed for the colonists, teaching them simple songs that anyone could learn. The Queen explained that while her people's ancient songs could reshape matter and energy, the real power came from beings working together with shared purpose and hope. Inspired by the music and the example of cooperation between humans and the Queen, the colonists began their own harmony project. They started singing together while they worked to clean up their polluted world. The songs did not magically heal the damage, but they gave the people unity and determination to tackle problems that had seemed impossible. Within months, Kepler Station began showing signs of recovery. Not because of alien magic, but because a community working together in harmony could accomplish far more than individuals working alone. The success at Kepler Station proved that the Queen's gift to humanity was not just her songs, but the lesson they contained. When different voices came together in harmony, they could create something greater than the sum of their parts. As the human choir grew from dozens to hundreds to thousands of members across the fleet, the Queen realized that her people's music would not die with her after all. It would evolve and grow, carried forward by a species that understood the true meaning of harmony. "I was the last of my people," the Queen told Una one day, as they practiced a particularly complex piece together. "But I am the first of something new. Through your voices, the songs of the singers will live on and grow in ways my people never imagined." Una smiled as their voices blended together in perfect cooperation. "And through your songs, we humans are learning that we're capable of more than we ever dreamed. Together we're becoming something neither of us could be alone." The Queen's light pulsed with colors that had never appeared in her crystal form before. Colors of joy, hope, and wonder at the infinite possibilities that lay ahead for two species united in song. 6 months had passed since the Queen chose to live instead of die. Her bioship had become a traveling wonder, moving with the human fleet from system to system. The vessel now served as both a cultural center and a symbol of what could be achieved. When different species worked together, the human choir had grown beyond anything anyone could have imagined. Over 3,000 people from across the fleet had learned at least basic singer songs, and hundreds had become skilled enough to perform the complex ceremonial pieces. The Queen's ancient music lived on through human voices, evolving and growing, in ways her people had never experienced. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the Harmony, looking at the latest report from their scouts. What he read made his heart heavy with concern. "Sir," Ji-Wan called from her station, "we're receiving a distress signal from the Gaia system. It's marked as urgent." Minho activated the communication system. The message that came through was filled with static and desperation. "This is Governor Lee Wanshik of New Eden Colony. Our world is dying. Please, if anyone receives this message, we need help. Our atmosphere is collapsing and our ecosystems are failing. We have maybe 3 months before the planet becomes uninhabitable." The bridge fell silent. New Eden was a relatively new colony, established only 10 years ago. It had been considered one of humanity's most successful terraforming projects. What could cause an entire planet's ecosystem to collapse so quickly? Soman asked. Deho pulled up the colony's records. According to this, they've been dealing with increasingly severe industrial pollution. The terraforming process created a delicate balance, and heavy mining operations seem to have pushed it past the breaking point. Minho made a decision quickly. "Set course for the Gaia system. Maximum speed." "Sir," Una said from her station, "should I inform the Queen?" "Yes," Minho replied. "She'll want to know about this." When they reached the Queen's bioship, They found her in the music chamber with a group of human singers practicing a new fusion song. The moment she heard about New Eden's crisis, her crystal form dimmed with concern. "A dying world," she said sadly. "My people encountered such tragedies many times in our travels. Usually by the time we arrived, it was too late to save more than a few survivors. But your people could heal planets with their songs," Yuna said hopefully. "Couldn't we try something similar?" The Queen's light pulsed thoughtfully. The songs that could heal worlds required thousands of singer voices working in perfect unity. Even at the height of our civilization, such undertakings were rare and difficult. I alone do not have such power. "But we're not alone," said Hajin, the maintenance worker whose deep voice had become essential to the choir. "We have thousands of human singers now. What if we all worked together?" "It would not be the same," the Queen replied gently. "Human voices, while beautiful, cannot manipulate matter and energy the way singer voices could. You lack the biological ability to affect molecular structures through sound." The gathered singers looked disappointed, but Yuna stepped forward with determination in her voice. "Maybe we can't heal the planet the way your people could," she said, "but we've learned that harmony can do more than change matter. It can change hearts and minds. What if we sang not to fix the planet directly, but to inspire the people living there to work together to save themselves?" The Queen considered this. "You wish to sing a song of unity and cooperation?" "Exactly," Yuna said, her excitement growing. "We've seen what happened at Kepler Station. The songs didn't magically clean up the pollution, but they gave the people hope and helped them work together. Maybe we can do the same thing on a larger scale." "Captain," Minho nodded slowly, "it's worth trying. Even if the singing doesn't directly help the environment, it might unite the colonists enough to find solutions they couldn't achieve while fighting among themselves." The Queen's form began to brighten with new possibilities. "A song of planetary unity. Such a thing has never been attempted, not even by my people. We sang to heal worlds directly, but we never considered singing to heal the relationships between the beings who lived on those worlds." Plans were made quickly. The entire human choir would travel to New Eden aboard the Queen's bioship. They would perform a massive concert, broadcast across the planet, featuring a new fusion song designed specifically to inspire cooperation and environmental healing. The journey to New Eden took 3 days. During that time, the Queen and the human singers worked together to create the most ambitious piece of music either species had ever attempted. They called it the Harmony of Worlds. The song combined the Queen's cosmic perspective with human determination and hope. It told the story of different species learning to work together, of voices finding harmony despite their differences, and of the power that came from unity rather than division. When they arrived at New Eden, the sight that greeted them was heartbreaking. The once green world was covered in brown smog, its rivers running murky with pollution. The colonists were divided into dozens of different factions, each blaming the others for the environmental disaster. Governor Lee Wanshik met them at the spaceport, his face gaunt with worry and exhaustion. "Captain Minho, I'm grateful you've come, but I'm not sure what anyone can do at this point. We've tried everything. The damage is too extensive and our people are too busy fighting each other to work on solutions." "That's exactly why we're here," Yuna said. "We'd like to perform a concert for your people, all of them together." The governor looked confused. "A concert? Our world is dying and you want to put on a show?" "Not a show," the Queen said, her voice carrying clearly despite the polluted air. "A demonstration of what can be achieved when different voices work together in harmony." The concert was held in New Eden's largest stadium, with screens and speakers set up across the planet so that everyone could participate. Nearly 2 million colonists attended either in person or through the broadcast. When the Queen appeared on stage, a hush fell over the crowd. Many of the colonists had heard about the alien singer, but few had seen her in person. Her crystal form blazed with light that seemed to cut through the smoggy atmosphere. "People of New Eden," the Queen said, her voice carrying to every corner of the planet, I have lived for millions of years and seen countless worlds. Some thrived, some died, and some found ways to heal themselves. Today we offer you a gift that my people never learned to give. Not the power to heal your world through alien technology, but the harmony to heal it yourselves. The harmony of worlds began with the Queen's voice alone, a deep, resonant tone that seemed to vibrate through the planet's crust. Slowly, the human choir joined in, their 3,000 voices adding layers of melody and harmony that transformed the alien song into something universally beautiful. But the real magic happened when the colonists began to sing along. At first, just a few voices joined the chorus, then hundreds, then thousands, then hundreds of thousands. People who had been enemies just hours before found themselves singing the same song, their voices blending together in unexpected ways. The song told the story of New Eden itself, of people who had come from distant Earth to build a new home among the stars. It sang of their struggles and achievements, their mistakes and their hopes for the future. Most importantly, it reminded them that they were all part of the same community, all responsible for their shared world. As 2 million voices joined together in harmony, something remarkable happened. The divided factions of New Eden began to see past their differences. Mining executives found themselves singing next to environmental protesters. Government officials harmonized with rebel leaders. Children who had never seen a clean sky sang, with elders who remembered when the rivers ran clear. The song lasted for 2 hours, with different verses highlighting different aspects of planetary stewardship and cooperation. When it finally ended, the silence that followed was not empty but full of possibility. Governor Lee stood up, tears streaming down his face. "I haven't felt hope like this in years," he said. "If we can sing together like this, maybe we can work together to save our world." The Queen's light pulsed with joy. "The healing has already begun," she said. "Not in your soil or your air, but in your hearts. That is where all true healing must start." In the months that followed, New Eden underwent a transformation that amazed everyone who witnessed it. The planet's various factions formed unity councils to address environmental problems. Mining operations were restructured to minimize damage. Massive cleanup projects began, with volunteers from every segment of society working side by side. The Queen and her human choir stayed for 3 months, holding regular concerts to maintain the spirit of cooperation. But more importantly, they taught the colonists to sing together on their own, ensuring that the harmony would continue long after the visitors left. When they finally departed, New Eden's skies were already showing signs of clearing. The planet was still damaged, but its people were united in their determination to heal their world. The impossible had become possible through the power of voices working together. As the Queen's bioship rejoined the human fleet, Una stood in the music chamber reflecting on all that had happened since that first day, when she asked a dying alien queen to sing instead of seeking death. "Do you ever regret not dying when you first asked us to?"